Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodhana Dana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON Samstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki. Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki. Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki. Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Savior of the whole world, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotara Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Premsako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Shri Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Girigovardhan ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Bhakti Devi ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanande, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to assembled devotees, all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glorious to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, entitled Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. We're reading text number 8 and text number 9. I'll read text number 8 and we can do text number 9 together. Sutta Uvacha Tad Adi Rajasya Yasho Vidrim Bitam Gunaid Asheshad Gunavat Sabhachitam Shata Maha Bhagavata Sada Spate Kosharavim Praha Grinantam Archayan. Translation. Sutta Goswami continued, O Shanaka, leader of the great sages, after hearing Maitreya speak about the various activities of King Prithu, the original king, who was fully qualified, glorified and widely praised all over the world, Vidur, the great devotee, very submissively worshipped Maitreya Rishi and asked him the following question. Okay, reading text number 9, we can do that together. Vidur Uvacha So Vishikta Pritur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Vibrat Sa Vaishnavanam Tejo Pavor Yabhyam Dudoha Gam Vidur Uvacha So Bishikta Pritur Viprair So Bishikta Pritur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Labdashesha Suradhana Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Pavoryabhyam Dudohagam Bhavoryabhyam Dudohagam Vidur Uvacha So Bishikta Pritur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Pavoryabhyam Dudohagam Vidur Uvacha So Bishikta Pritur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Bhavoryabhyam Dudohagam Vidura Uvacha So Bishikta Pritur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Pavoryabhyam Dudohagam Viduravaja So Bishikta Pitur Viprair Labdashesha Suradhana Vibratsa Vaishnavam Tejo Pavoryabhyam Dudohagam Vidura Uvacha Vidura said, Sa he, King Prithu, Abhishikta, when enthroned, Prithu, King Prithu, Viprair by the great sages and brahmanas, Labda achieved, Ashesha innumerable, Sura Arhana presentations by the demigods, Vibrat expanding, Sa he Vaishnavam who has received through Lord Vishnu, Teja strength, Bhavo arms, Yabhyam, by which Dudoha exploited Gam, the earth. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. Vidura said, "My dear Brahmana, Maitreya, it is very enlightening to understand that King Prithu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas. All the demigods presented him with innumerable gifts, and he also expanded his influence upon personally receiving strength from Lord Vishnu. Thus he greatly developed the earth." Purport. Because Prithu Maharaj was an empowered incarnation of Lord Vishnu and was naturally a great Vaishnava devotee of the Lord, all the demigods were pleased with him and presented different gifts to help him in exercising his royal power. And the great sages and saintly persons also joined in his coronation. Thus blessed by them, he ruled over the earth and exploited its resources for the greatest satisfaction of the people in general. This has already been explained in the previous chapters regarding the activities of King Prithu. As will be apparent from the next verse, every executive head of state should follow in the footsteps of Maharaj Prithu in ruling over his kingdom. Regardless of whether the chief executive is a king or president, or whether the government is a monarchical or democratic. This process is so perfect that if it is followed, everyone will become happy, and thus it will be very easy for all to execute devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. In these two verses, we are reminded that this pastime of Prithu Maharaj is actually a conversation between a spiritual master and his disciple, Maitreya Rishi and Vidura. Vidura is the younger brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Everything that has been happening so far is a question and answer session between these personalities. Even then, the conversation itself is a pastime, because this pastime of Maitreya and Vidur talking is being recited by Shukadev Goswami and his disciple Parikshit Maharaj. Still, even then, the talks between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj is a pastime in of its own, and their conversation is a narration by the great sage Sutta Goswami to the Brahmanas of Naimisharanya. In verse 8, the stanza starts with the word Sutta. This is very significant. Primarily, we know it refers to Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is a great learned scholar of the fifth Veda, particularly the Itihasas and the Puranas, which are the fifth Veda. However, the word Sutta refers to a mixed caste. There are 4 varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. A mixed caste is created when there is a pratiloma marriage. That means a man from a lower caste marries a girl from a higher caste. The prime example of the combination of the two is that of a sutta. A Kshatriya man, for whatever reason, gets married to a Brahmana girl, and the child becomes a sutta as a result. A sutta is still the offspring of a Kshatriya, and by default a sutta is a Kshatriya. Unfortunately, according to the Vedic understanding, a sutta is not a pure Kshatriya. So the sutta becomes a branch of Kshatriya that is frowned upon. We read in the Mahabharata of the rivalry between Arjuna and Karna. Many times Bhimasen and Arjuna would insult Karna by calling him a sutta. Sometimes the word sutta in English context would be translated as, O son of a sutta. Just like how Krishna is called Vasudeva, because he is the son of Vasudeva. In the same way, because Karna was raised in a family of suttas, Karna was called a son of a sutta. This also applies to Sutta Goswami, because he was the son of a sutta. To give you a clear idea what the role of a sutta is and what they do in the Varna Ashrama Dharma, the occupational duty of a sutta is to drive chariots. They are chariot drivers. As a branch of Kshatriyas, the suttas has the spirit of chivalry, but the sutta also has some Brahminical qualities coming from their mother's side of the family. Because of that, the sutta has the spirit of competition, but are also non-violent. In our modern age, Shri Shri Radha Radhanath ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. In our modern age, we have things like extreme sports, Formula One racing, or something more local like road rage driving. It may be a well-calculated guess, but if you are into things like competition and the like, then you may very well have had an ancestor who is a sutta. Here in this verse, we have Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is the son of a sutta. During the preparation war in the Mahabharata, there's a scenario where Duryodhana comes to Dwaraka, and Duryodhana invites Lord Balaram to join his army against the Pandavas. And initially, Lord Balaram agrees. At this point, Duryodhana has already won the war. Any side that has the Supreme Personality of Godhead in it will automatically win. But then Lord Balaram declines to participate in the war later on. The reason why Balaram stopped getting involved in the war between the Pandavas and the Kauravas is because Krishna decided to join the Pandavas. And so Balaram decided that he is going to go on a pilgrimage. Lord Balaram visits various places which is described in the Krishna book. Then Balaram comes to a place called Naimisharanya. And there the Brahmanas are gathered and they are listening to a Krishna Katha. When the Brahmanas saw that the Supreme Lord had come, the first thing they did was offer obeisances. Everybody offered greetings to Lord Balaram except for one person. And that one person was the one that was sitting on the Vyasasana. The devotees describe this person as someone who was speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but when the Supreme Lord appeared before him, he didn't acknowledge the Supreme Lord. As a response, Lord Balaram picked up a blade of grass and came before that person sitting on the Vyasasan. Then Balaram pierced the heart of that person with the blade of grass. The person who died on the Vyasasan was named Romaharshana. It's explained that Romaharshana was the son of a Kshatriya, but his mother was a Brahmani. By default, he was a Sutta. However, Romaharshana became the disciple of Vyasadeva and was elevated to the position of a Brahmana. Romaharshana was also trained by Vyasadeva in the 5th Veda, as described in the 1st canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Romaharshana was trained in the 5th Veda, which is all the historical records known as the Puranas and the Itihasas. When Romaharshana was selected to speak on spiritual topics, the Brahmanas present gave Romaharshana a boon. One is that Romaharshana will have a long life, and the second boon is that Romaharshana will be expert in the Puranas. Unfortunately, none of those boons came true because Lord Balaram had killed Romaharshana. This caused a disturbance to the Brahmanas because they promised Romaharshana that he will have a long life, but their words became false when Lord Balaram had killed him. And so a discussion happened between Lord Balaram and the Brahmanas, and it was settled that the boons meant for Romaharshana will go to the son of Romaharshana. As the Dharma Shastra describes, that the son is the representative of the father. So everything that was meant for Romaharshana was given to his son. And Romaharshana's son is none other than Sutta Goswami. When Balaram killed Romaharshana, it's safe to assume that Sutta Goswami was a young boy at the time. When Shukadev Goswami was speaking Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, Sutta Goswami was also present at the time, and he was a senior Brahmana. Then, when Sutta Goswami was speaking Bhagavatam to the sages of Naimisharanya, Sutta Goswami was a very old man. A few points can be made about what was said just now. Firstly, we can see that you don't have to be born in a Brahmana family to become a Brahmana. Romaharshana was a Sutta by birth, but he gained the qualifications to become a Brahmana after he became a disciple of Vyasadeva. So anyone who wants to become a Brahmana must gain the qualifications under the guidance of a spiritual master. Secondly, just because someone is Brahman initiated doesn't imply that you have the qualifications to be a guru. Lord Balaram is the Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. Although Romaharshana gained the position of a Brahmana, he was not qualified to give siksha or instructions based on the Puranas. So Lord Balaram had got rid of him. And thirdly, we get to see how the Adi Guru, Lord Balaram, chooses who will be the official speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Although it appeared to be unconnected, Lord Balaram's actions ultimately led to Sutta Goswami being the official speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, we can Also see how expert the planning of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. The Lord can take any unrelated situation, which in turn ends up serving a significant purpose in the future. Let's take the spiritual master of Vidur, Maitreya Rishi. We get to learn a little more about him in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's described that after the annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, after Krishna met Jara the hunter, Krishna had relocated and came to one of the sacred rivers, and he sat down to meditate. Krishna was patiently waiting for someone to show up, and after a while it so happened that Maitreya Rishi had been walking along the same riverbank. Then Krishna and Maitreya finally met. According to the history of Maitreya Rishi, he was born during the beginning of creation. At the time, Maitreya wasn't even a devotee of the Supreme Lord. Then at some point, Lord Brahma held a fire yagya, and all the Brahmanas got involved, including Maitreya Rishi. While everyone was making their offerings, Maitreya Rishi had a fleeting thought. He wanted to meet the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Maitreya Rishi never thought about the Lord again. So Maitreya Rishi lived a long life. Yuga after yuga had passed. Different incarnations of the Lord had manifested and unmanifested. And in that time, Maitreya Rishi had never met the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Until over 5,000 years ago, when it appeared that Maitreya Rishi coincidentally met Krishna at the banks of the sacred river. So Krishna began speaking with Maitreya, and Krishna, who is all-knowing, knew that Uddhava was hiding in the bush, and Krishna called out to him to sit alongside Maitreya Rishi. Then Krishna began enlightening Uddhava and Maitreya Rishi in transcendental knowledge. Afterwards, Maitreya went on his way, and then Krishna enlightened Uddhava further in spiritual knowledge, which then became known as the Uddhava Gita. And Maitreya Rishi, after leaving Krishna's side, after being enlightened by the Supreme Lord, he became a devotee of the Lord, and later on he met Vidur. So everything that we have read so far about Prithu Maharaj, about Dhruva Maharaj, about Lord Kapila, about Lord Shiva and Sati, and so on, Maitreya Rishi had heard it directly from the mouth of Krishna. Then Vyasadeva, with his transcendental vision, was able to record everything, which ultimately became the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that Srimad Bhagavatam was taught to his son, Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami spoke Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj in the assembly of sages and rishis, of which Sutta Goswami was present. Then hundreds and hundreds of years later, Sutta Goswami, who was an old man, spoke Bhagavatam to the Brahmanas of Naimisharanya. And Sutta Goswami could only live long enough to become the official authority of the Bhagavatam is because Lord Balaram had killed Brahmaharshana and had his boons passed over to Sutta Goswami. And that Bhagavatam that is spoken by Sutta Goswami is what comes down our disciplic succession to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada has passed that transcendental knowledge to us. There are no accidents. All these different events that appear to have nothing to do with each other, they're all planned out by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that you and I can get the purest version of transcendental knowledge. In that way, we can save ourselves and others from the influence of Kali Yuga. Another example of Krishna's expert planning can be seen from 3 different pastimes that appear to have nothing to do with each other, but are deeply connected. Firstly, we know the pastime of Krishna, and we know that Krishna left Vrindavan when he was around 13 years old. And by the age of 16, he got married. Then Krishna ended up with 16,108 wives. Accordingly, one of Mother Yashoda's desires was to see Krishna get married, but it never happened. Krishna got married again and again and again. Mother Yashoda, however, was never present, and her desire to see Krishna get married was never fulfilled. Secondly, there is a pastime where Bhrigu Muni tests the guna avatars by offending them, and Bhrigu Muni ends up kicking Lord Vishnu on the chest. Lakshmi became upset. She cursed the Brahmanas, but the pastime didn't just end over there. Lakshmi was so upset that she decided to leave Vaikuntha. Thirdly, we know that in the Ramayana, Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. Then later it's revealed by Lord Chaitanya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Lord Chaitanya was quoting the Kurma Puran, that before leaving the circle drawn by Lakshman for Sita's protection, the circle burst into a wall of flames. Then Sita disappeared and Maya Sita came out. Then Ravana kidnapped Maya Sita. Then at the end of the Ramayana, when Maya Sita was saved, Maya Sita had to be tested by sitting on fire. Then Maya Sita disappeared from the fire and the real Sita came out. Maya Sita wasn't Sita, but she was a real person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead didn't have the opportunity to thank Maya Sita for all the service and suffering she went through while living in Ravana's house. These 3 pastimes, which appear to have nothing to do with each other, is all interrelated. After Lakshmi left Vaikuntha, Lord Vishnu, seeing that his wife was nowhere to be seen, he also left Vaikuntha to look for her. That's when the Supreme Personality of Godhead had incarnated as Venkateshwara. Venkateshwara appeared in a poverty-stricken family, and he was the only son of his mother. Venkateshwara When Lakshmi disappeared, she also took the Lakshmi with her also. And that's why Venkateshwara appeared in poverty. As the pastime goes, Venkateshwara took interest in one girl. That girl was a rich girl, the daughter of a big landowner. Unfortunately, Venkateshwara had no chance because he had no money. Then he got a bright idea to take a loan. And so Venkateshwara borrowed money from Kuber, the treasurer of the heavenly planets. After borrowing money from Kuber, Venkateshwara became a rich man. And as you know, if you take a loan you have to pay it back. That's why in Tirupati, the number one thing you can donate to Venkateshwara is money, because Venkateshwara needs money to pay back Kuber. Now that Venkateshwara was rich, he was able to marry the landowner's daughter, and he was able to have a very big wedding. As it's explained, Venkateshwara's mother was the incarnation of Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda decided to see Krishna get married, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfilled her desire. In that way, the devotees of Venkateshwara don't call Venkateshwara Venkateshwara. They call him Govinda, because Govinda is the son of Mother Yashoda. And the girl that married Venkateshwara was none other than Maya Sita. Since Maya Sita was playing the role of Lord Ramachandra's wife when Ravana had kidnapped her, the Supreme Personality of Godhead accepted her as his real wife for all the services she had done. I heard these pastimes related to Venkateshwara from His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami Maharaj many years ago. So Sutta Goswami is the official speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It said, when a parrot eats a fruit, the fruit becomes sweeter. In this way, Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Sutta Goswami and coming in disciplic succession, is actually the sweetest version of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as sanctioned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Balaram. As Prabhupada is explaining here in the purport, it doesn't matter what the external situation is, whether it's a monarchical government or a democratic government. So as long as the instructions of the Bhagavatam are being followed, everyone can become happy. And here Prabhupada is giving the pastime of Prithu Maharaj as an example. Everyone can become happy. And when the mind is no longer disturbed, it becomes very easy to take to Krishna consciousness and engage in devotional service. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.